Afternoon guys, and welcome to this week's vlog. I find myself at Buttermere once again. Excuse me. There's a shot I want to take, a classic shot. If you Google the lone tree at Buttermere, you'll understand what I mean. It's quite minimalistic, but again, it's another chance to take a shot or a few shots across this wonderful lake called Buttermere. To be fair, it's not a good start though, is it? If I'm coughing and spluttering. But it's Wednesday, it's my day out of the studio, it's my day for taking landscape pictures and generally vlogging. And anyway, look at this weather, look at this scenery. What's not to like about a day like today? I've got a fantastic composition. I'm looking at Buttermere Lake, foreground interest. I'm looking at, there's a bit of driftwood down here to my left hand side. I've got a small bush coming out to the right hand side, but more importantly, kind of the midway point, I've got these rocks coming out from the right hand side of the screen. Obviously then into the distance, we've got all the mountains and of course the whole of the lake. Now what I'm opting to do is, because I'm going to focus on this bit of driftwood here, because the driftwood's really going to draw the eye in, so I want to make sure that it's absolutely crystal. So I'm focused on that tree there, and I'm opting for f22. Now my normal go-to is f11, f16. In actual fact, I even quite like focus stacking. I might even do that, but I just try and get away with one shot, and that's f22, just to make sure I've got that great depth of field. And I'm going to focus on that tree here, which is quite literally, it's too close if I'm honest, because it's only about, I don't know, about 5-6 yards in front of me. So I'll spin that camera around again in a second so you guys can see it. I'm shooting in bulb mode, obviously. I'm opting at this present moment in time. So it's f22, my ISO is right down to ISO 100. I could go ISO 50, and I'm shooting at 2 minutes. So if I opted for ISO 50, then that would be a 4-minute exposure. That's that extra stop. That would be the difference. But if I'm honest, 2 minutes on this water here, it's like glass. It's like glass. It's absolutely amazing, and it's a nice little composition. I quite like it. Now I'm actually shooting, I've not got my watch on me, which is quite unusual, but it's kind of late on in the afternoon, and of course photographers go on and go on and go on about the morning light, the nighttime light, the sunrise, the sunset, etc, etc. But I'm here pretty much in the middle of the afternoon. It doesn't matter. I've got the sunlight up here, obviously it's super bright, and it's way over here to my left hand side, so it doesn't really play a factor into this image, except with the light coming from the left hand side, it's actually lighting up the rocks on my right hand side, so it's actually really quite nice. But unfortunately, the only slight negativity with it is the mountains in the distance are actually quite dark because they're in the shadow, but it really doesn't matter. There's a big bright blue sky there with a little bit of cloud, but it's perfectly fine. It's great. I'm loving this shot. I'm absolutely loving this shot. Okay guys, pretty much this is my composition. Without stating the obvious, here's the camera looking up the lake, and you could see down here to the left hand side there's a little bit of driftwood, so I'm using that as my foreground interest, although it's very close to the camera. On the right hand side you see this line of rocks that's being lit from the sun, that's coming from the left to the right, so we've got a nice bit of lighting going on there on those rocks, and they're really quite cute. And of course I'm opting for a 2-minute exposure, so all the ripples in that water will just be like glass. Then it goes off into the distance, and that's where you can see the shadow appearing here on that mountain's edge. Doesn't really matter. Rules of thirds, I've kept the horizon on the top third, obviously because there's more going on the floor, so 2/3 of this image is going to be on the floor and only 1/3 of the sky. So my camera setup now then, I've got a 10 stop filter and a 0.9 grad. A 0.9 grad will pull that light down in the sky 3 stops. So as much as it's very, very bright, it's going to at least help me pull some of that detail back in that sky. I mean, look, if I can pull a nice image from a day like today, I can hardly look into this camera because I'm looking across at the sun there. And as you can see in my face now, it's actually so bright. It's so bright. But you don't have to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning to drive 2 hours to get here for a sunrise, or be here 9:30 tonight for a sunset. Come out in the middle of the afternoon. It doesn't matter. It might not be quite as nice, but trust me, this picture is going to be fantastic. It's going to be fantastic. Let's have a quick look and see if you can actually see that. Can you see that? Not sure. If I come back a bit and zoom in. There you go. It doesn't matter. I don't really need to do that, if I'm perfectly honest, because I'll just put the picture up on the screen and you'll be able to see it. Okay, so just before we go, we're going to try something just a little bit daring. I like this shot so much. What I'm going to try and do, I'm going to try and lower the camera into the water. It's probably about that deep, but what I'm concerned about is when you lower the camera into that water, is that the ripples will actually move the camera during a long exposure. That's my only slight worry. But let's give that a go. Let's give it a go and let's try it and see what it's like. It's a little bit daring. It might work, it might not work, but I love this shot so much. Let's try it. Let's try it. I'm not happy with this. I've got a sweat on. There's only one way of doing this. There's only one way. I think that was quite successful. Oh, do you know, that water wasn't that cold either. Just brilliant. So, enough of that. Let's trek on. Just before we move on from this location, by the way, just want to point out, I know I mentioned earlier how bad the light was, and if I'm honest, if I can capture a half decent shot in this particular light, I'll be super excited. But more importantly than that is, if it's not as good as I want it to be, I've earmarked this place. This is a place I definitely want to come back to. I'll possibly catch a sunrise, and if I catch it maybe more in the winter time, then the sun will be a lot lower and it'll light up that mountain behind me, and try and get some nice light on that mountain, because that's what's really important. More importantly is to bring that detail down in the sky, because it is very, well, actually there's just nothing there now, and this light is getting even worse, if I'm perfectly honest with you. I mean, look how harsh this light is. Can you see that? Look, just over my shoulder there. Look how harsh that light is. Look at that. I can't even see myself in that screen to show you guys, because the minute I move it away from my shadow, it just goes super bright and I just can't see it. But take my word for it. Barely taken about 50 steps and I found another composition that's really, really quite nice. Now, where I am now on Buttermere, there's a particular shot that everybody takes and it's called the lone tree. Now this isn't the lone tree, but I really quite like it. I think that tree there would make a very nice foreground interest, sweeping off into the lake, the Buttermere lake. Like I say, if you look to the left hand side, if you could barely see it just there, that is actually a very dark, that mountain is actually in the shade at the moment, but more to the right hand side you can see that that mountainside there is actually being lit, obviously from the sun that's coming from your left down to the right hand side. So let's give that a go while we're here. Why not? Let's see what that's like. I've opted for f/16 ISO 100, obviously ISO 100 is important so we get the quality, and at the moment I think I'm on about 1/10 of a second, so there's no movement there, I don't have to worry about that. Shutter speed's on a sturdy tripod as well. Whoa, look at this! I wonder what that was. I hope they're friendly. Hey up guys! Hello mate! Jeez, that could have been a bull. There's a couple of girls behind me that's just come out. Not sure if you can see behind me there. Can you see there? They've just come out of the lake. They were swimming, they were miles away. There's guys on the other side of the lake across there. Not sure if you can quite see that. They're over there somewhere. I'm trying desperately to see. Actually swimming. It's gorgeous. 24 degrees in the car on the way up here. Now, the question you have to ask yourself is this. It's taken me nearly 3 hours to drive here. I've had to trek to where I'm currently sat at this present moment in time, and all that effort, and am I going to go away with an award-winning picture? No, I'm not. Clearly I'm not. But what a great day. I've had a fantastic day. I've discovered somewhere new. I've got my camera out. Got some, to be fair, I'll have some nice landscape pictures. It's just they won't be, you know, on a scale of 1 to 10, they're going to be a 5 or a 6, simply because of that sky looks quite pants. But where would I rather be? Where would you rather be? That's it. That's what it's all about. It's about getting out here. Getting out here.